This week on Gotta Go.
Gotta Go.
Gotta Go.
I feel like I was a very underachieving teenager.
I got some tips from a stylist.
The gaslighting continues, Mole. Gonna have another rant about gas.
Why I'm rethinking sharing images of my kid online.
And there's a new hack and it makes me want to gag.
Ugh.
All this on
All
Gotta
this
Go.
and more on Gotta Go.
Hey, what happened to our jingle?
All this on Gotta Go with them. Okay, I don't know. That's what happened to our jingle.
All right. So, Mole, you've been binging something this week.
Yeah, so I was doing research, Bryony, of course.
Oh, were you?
Yeah,
For the pod.
for the
Thank you
podcast.
so much for your services.
You're welcome. And I binge watched the Kylie Minogue documentary. I haven't binged anything for a very long time, but I absolutely loved it. I love Kylie. She's so real. She's like the gal next door. But it was a beautiful documentary. It was lots about love and her love with Michael Hutchins. But there was this one moment and it really stuck with me. And I don't know if it's because of your cancer journey. Obviously, Kylie went through cancer, but she talks about how she was meant to close like Glastonbury, like be the head act for Glastonbury. And then she got this cancer diagnosis. And it was really funny because she was saying, I was just exhausted. I was losing weight and there wasn't much of me to lose anyway. All these like red flags. And then so by the time she got the cancer diagnosis, she had to pull out of Glastonbury.
That's so relatable to my story.
I know.
Like when I was going to be
I thought so.
headlining Glastonbury.
But then she was watching Glastonbury from her bedroom
Oh
in Melbourne
my
at her parents'
gosh,
house.
How life can change.
And
Hey?
Coldplay are there doing it and they dedicate Fix You.
Oh.
But you just you're there with her and you just your heart breaks for her.
And it's that thing as well that like cancer doesn't discriminate, hey?
Yeah.
You can be famous, you can have all the money in the world, but actually
But
you're not going to avoid it.
But anyway, point of the story was love the Kylie documentary. Want you to watch it so we
Okay.
can have more convos about
Okay,
it.
I'm in. You've
Yeah.
sold me. But Mol, you came across some good news.
Yeah, so it seems like the teens are overachieving these days and good on them. So just a couple of things that have happened recently,
Yeah.
which I feel like deserve a good share. Bianca Adler became the youngest Australian at 18 years old to reach the Everest summit.
Wow.
So this is her second attempt. Another amazing young Aussie, Rose Donald, she just flew around Australia
Solo.
solo.
Unbelievable.
And she's 18 years old.
And apparently she did her first solo flight when she was 15.
Like, you don't even have your car license at 15.
No, she didn't have a car license. Imagine that, just being like, oh yeah, I'm just going to go fly a plane by myself. Bye, mum and dad. Like parents worried about their kids going to parties or like, riding an e-bike. And she's like off in the plane. That is extraordinary. It's so inspiring though what's possible. Speaking of extraordinary young people, I met this amazing young 15-year-old man last week called Spencer Hinchin. And he is a young conservationist. Yeah. He wants to be an environmental lawyer when he grows up. But he now travels Australia like as a conservationist doing extraordinary wildlife photography, but using his profile and his, online following that he's garnered to save animals and, teach children all around Australia about our amazing animals. And he did this whole documentary that's about him, trying to save habitat of animals, going down to Tassie and trying to save the Maugean skate, which is like this stingray that lives in Macquarie Harbour there. But because of all the salmon farming, they're at risk of becoming extinct.
Wow.
But he's like, if they become extinct, it means the water is so polluted that all the salmon will die as well. So it's a real like canary in the coal mine. But I was just like,
what's in the water?
It was such
Wow.
a kick up the butt watching this 15-year-old who's like has seen something outrageous happening in the world. And like most of us adults, we're like, oh, well, back to our day, go about our life. He's like, no, I'm going to drop everything and do this. Anyway, I spoke to his mum at the end because I'm like, how do you bring up such an extraordinary young man that cares so deeply at such a young age? And she's like, just go out into nature all the time and just don't rush them. Just let them look at everything that they want to see and look at and do. She has also homeschooled him, so they've got time and, what a wonderful thing.
We did homeschool for a year, right?
We did, yeah. Remember Mum just being to us like, we're doing too many things. Something's got to go. What about school? And we were like, yeah. Like, you imagine asking any kid that. Do you want to not do school for a year?
We did learn, just to make that clear.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like we just skipped.
Mum actually was a primary school teacher. So
I think that's important to add in to the conversation.
But interestingly, you and Ree came back way ahead of your year for numeracy and literacy.
I always had learning, not issues, but I found it difficult to learn new things.
Yeah.
And words, for example.
Still going.
And by the time I was behind and then by the time I came back, I would only do like a couple of hours every morning. Mum was incredible. Yeah, we traveled around the world and then I came back in front of the class. Because when you think about it, like I remember the boys were so disruptive in our class.
Yeah.
So, we didn't actually get that much of learning. Then you got sport, recess, like religious education class, all that kind of stuff.
How much like actual also one-on-one time do you get with an adult in a school day? Probably like
10
a minute
minutes.
if you're lucky, or if that.
Yeah.
You got 25 kids in a class. Teachers are so amazing. They're so stretched. So yeah, look, that was a really interesting year.
I spoke to a stylist this week and she said every woman needs this one thing in their wardrobe because I was like,
what is it?
I was like, if you've got a small budget, like where would I be spending it?
Is it a fully sequin jacket?
Surprisingly, no.
Damn, because I'm always attracted to shiny, fun things like that.
It's just like a really nice cut blazer that you can wear over a skirt, wear over jeans. You can dress up, dress down. And so, because I was like, if you only had like a couple of $100, where would you spend that? She's like, a really good blazer. But I also said, what's like the number one mistake most people make? And it's the same mistake you make.
Okay, great. Tell me, what am I doing?
You buy one-off, like amazing pieces that go with nothing else in your wardrobe.
I do. That's true.
Yeah.
I have a wardrobe full of bright, shiny, glittery, fabulous things that don't go with anything.
Yeah. And remember when you bought those polka dot shoes?
No.
You bought these crazy polka dot
Did
shoes.
I?
And I was like,
oh, with bows on them?
yeah.
as well?
And I was like, they're nice, but when are you going to wear them?
Yeah, I never wore them.
Never
Don't
wore
have them anymore.
Yeah. So she was like, you can only buy something if it goes with 3 other things in your wardrobe.
Oh, that's a good rule of thumb.
It's a really good rule. And also, I am like, next time I go to Melbourne, I am looking this lady up and I'm going to get a stylist because I was like, how, like, we're talking thousands and thousands. She's like, no, it's like less than $500 to work with you, work out what is your style, takes you shopping. Obviously, it doesn't include the clothes, but like they'll just kind of go, these are the things you need. This is what's missing from your wardrobe. You can get rid of these things. They do a stock take.
I think it's like so worthwhile doing because the amount of money you spend on stuff that you can't wear, you would just make up that.
I speak to a lot of women, especially with Little Ladies Finance Club, and they're like, I only buy something if it's on sale. And I'm like, that's great. But also this makes you just so much more mindful about fast fashion, spending. You want to buy good quality pieces, even if you have to pay full price, because you're going to have them forever.
Forever, yeah.
So the cost per wear is going to dramatically decrease.
Well, you and Rihanna, our other sister, for my birthday, you got me actually a session where a lady's going to come to my house and clean up my wardrobe with me and like work out what I need and what the gaps are.
We love you, but you just turned 40 and you still have nothing to wear.
Yeah.
And it's been this way since we were
Well, it was actually really
8.
rude of you not to be living near me for the last 2 years. I mean, I moved away to be fair, but it's been really hard without your wardrobe.
Even though everything's so short.
Yeah, it is.
Well, now that I've had a baby, nothing's short. Doesn't even fit.
Yeah. Well, like hilariously, I now do have a lot of your clothes because you don't want them at the moment because you're breastfeeding. I want them back
eventually.
No, I know. But I feel like it's been an ongoing, like you have been so mean to me about my clothes over the years. Like I feel like every fun thing that I get that I'm like, I love this new outfit. You're like, oh, you look like Bindi Owen. Fun Bindi Owen. I'm like, cool, that wasn't the look I was going for. Remember that outfit I had? But I got rid of it because you paid me out so much.
But I remember I put on this really gorgeous white dress and my twin sister was like, you look like you should be in a mental institution. I was like, rude. This is really cool.
That's true.
This is fashion.
She was like, yeah, you look like you've escaped the asylum.
I know. But you have had some great outfits in the past.
There must be something to be said though for an honest sister opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Because not many people will give you, like grumpy old men on the internet will give you lots of honest opinions you didn't ask for. But someone that you respect their opinion that will tell you to it straight, like not many people do that for you in life. So I actually appreciate it.
You really want to go shopping with a sister or your mother. Mothers will tell you the truth as well. I tried on this thing and I was like, this looks pretty good. Mum's like, oh, God, no. I was like, yeah, I didn't want it anyway. But what's that funny saying? It's like your sister relationship is funny. It will be like, I'll give you my second kidney, but where is my...
But don't you dare touch my serum.
Don't you dare borrow my top.
Yeah.
But we used to have massive fights because I would borrow your clothes and then I probably wouldn't give them back.
Well, you'd either kind of wreck them or dirty them or fake tan them or be like, you gave that to me. I'm like, I did not give that to you. I loaned it to you. And you're like, no, you said I could have it.
Because there was
like,
this period in Sydney where your fashion got really good and I really loved your wardrobe.
Oh, you've never told me about this period.
But then I would get in so much trouble. It almost like ruined our sister friendship a few times because you're like, you've stained the underarms because you wore fake tan. And I'm like, that wasn't me. I mean, it fits the bill, but I swear it wasn't.
No, it was definitely you. No one else was wearing my clothes. But
True.
Actually, that reminds me of a time when, do you remember when we had a ball in Brisbane?
Yeah.
And I got this amazing on sale, but Rachel Gilbert gold, like fully gold sequin dress, and it was beautiful. And you were desperate to try it on.
So skinny.
And I wouldn't let you.
Yeah.
But Rihanna colluded with you, our other sister, and when I was out, they snuck into my room, got it. I put it in the top cupboard so they couldn't get it. They knew where it was. You got it down, and you tried it on while I wasn't there, but then you got stuck in it.
Oh my
you got stuck in the zip because it didn't fit.
We could hear you pull into the driveway.
Rihanna's like, she's home,
and
she's
I'm like,
home.
Rihanna, go stop her. I'm trying to get this dress off. It's stuck on me. Sequins are flying everywhere. And then I'm trying to pick up all the sequins. And it did not, I could not get it on. You must have been so skinny.
You guys didn't admit to that for like years. And then you're like, oh yeah, Molly got stuck in your dress.
Go stop her. Don't stop her. Me life flashed before me eyes.
So clearly not all my fashion's been terrible. But yeah,
No,
classic
very
me
good at ball
purchase
dresses.
giant gold
That's your niche.
ball dress. Yeah.
No one-off pieces. Ball
That's
dresses.
mine. Yeah, I'm very good with the ball dress. So Scotty Pape, the barefoot investor, has come out in response to the budget.
Oh, yeah.
And he said something pretty surprising, actually. He's like, I'm a high-income earner. I pay a lot of tax. But actually what he wasn't worried about was the changes to the tax rules and capital gains tax in particular. He said, I'm actually more worried that we are becoming a country that is drifting more and more to an American model where everyone is outraged all the time. Yeah. And he's like, at this rate, we're going to end up with Pauline Hanson being our prime minister, whose best economic idea was let's print more money. True story.
I know, she actually said that.
Yeah, she did. And so he sort of said, if you have shares, you're going to pay a bit more tax. But to put it in context, he said, if you have 50K in an index fund and it goes to 72K, you might be looking at maybe $900 more in tax. Yep. But he's like, actually, maybe not. You might end up better off with the way it's calculated.
What I do say to people, a profit on top, like if you're paying capital gains, it means you made a profit. And making a profit is a good thing.
He also said, the whole meme campaign that's been going on about small business owners. He's like, well, it was funny the first few times, then it just got annoying, but it's wrong. It's not correct. It's false information. And the guy that started it also was like, I was going for virality over, it being true, basically. So there's that. He personally has a family trust, but once again, he supports the changes that are being made. He's like, why is it fair that someone that's got a fancy accountant and can set up a trust is paying way less tax than a nurse or a teacher or a worker that doesn't have that? But overarchingly, he just had a message which was similar to what you said, which was like, we live in one of the wealthiest countries, in one of the best times in human history. We are so lucky. We're so wealthy. Yeah. And yet, and I think that really taps into how I was feeling about the budget changes. I get that, the government said they weren't going to do it and now they've done it, and that's going to be for people to decide how they want to vote. But at some point we have to think about as well, what kind of society do we want? Yeah. Do we want one where there's just a whole group of people that can never get into a house and never have that security? Yeah. Or do we want one that looks after people?
We want one, I think, that, I just think about even just having a baby. Like, she gets sick, I take her to the doctor. It gets bulk billed. If she gets really sick, I can take her to a hospital. She gets looked after for free by our public health system, which is funded by taxes. We live in beautiful Australia. We have great roads. We have great parks. We have great facilities. That is all what our taxes pay for as well.
Yeah. And it feels like everyone's been whinging about the housing crisis for forever. Everyone wants it to be fixed, but no one wants then to have any changes that are going to affect them.
And what was interesting is now they're saying at auctions around the country, it's the first time, it's all just first-time homers.
Yes.
Sorry, first home buyers.
Yeah.
And they're not being outbid by investors.
Yeah.
Dave Hughes came out and he was absolutely
Outraged.
by the new housing property, the new housing
yeah.
changes. And I don't think it hit the way he wanted to hit, because if you look at the comments, it is hilarious. Everyone's like, sounds like someone who owns a lot of investment properties. Oh, mate, that's a bit of funny comedy. Like, just he was like, people went to town on him.
I know. What is happening with the old white men in Aussie
Like,
media at the
outraged
moment?
that he has to pay.
Outraged.
And I'm like,
but
mate.
do you know what I just thought about that? I thought Dave Hughes, like, I like Hughesy. He's, good bit of comedy from time to time. But I thought of all the causes.
Yes.
Of all the political moments, of all the things to pin your hat to and really get out there and
Everything
advocate for
going
people.
on at the
You're
world.
going to get out there and advocate for property investors? Like, really? It just felt so
off.
tone deaf and off. It did get a lot of likes, though.
Like a very privileged man without thinking about, like a very privileged person not thinking about others.
Yeah. Yeah, so angry too, like that outrage. And it's what Scott Pate was saying, that the anger, the outrage of people. How dare you touch my capital gains discount. The other thing that like I thought was interesting in comments that because I put up a video about this, is that I noticed like people don't actually realise they're not actually taxing you more. I mean, in effect, they are taxing you more, but it's removing a tax break that should never have been put in, right? Howard brought in this tax, this discount on capital gains that distorted and made property investment an asset class in this country. And that's why it's been like this stable, amazing investment asset for people to get rich on. But they're actually just removing a tax break that never should have been there. It's not actually introducing a new tax. I think that's important distinction.
And I think there's just a lot of misinformation out there as well, and people are just getting outraged by the outrage.
100%. Agreed.
So, B, we went viral this week for the podcast.
Yeah,
we
did.
had over 200,000 views. I just kept seeing it go up and up. Lots of comments, some angry.
Yeah.
Some of
This was about the gas tax or lack of gas tax in Australia. Yeah.
Some comments were a little abusive. Some were surprised. Some were...
Most people were pretty upset though.
Yeah,
I've
very
got to
upset.
say, and shocked by the information. So I said that on a volume of gas that we collect $100 million for, Qatar would collect $32 billion. Well, I've got a bit of an update because that stat, which I read in a book, was from 2022 to 2023.
Okay.
So I reached out to Saul Griffiths, who wrote the book, to ask how he'd calculated it. And he said, well, I've got some bad news for you. In 2023, it got worse because in 2023, Qatar and Australia exported roughly the same amount of gas.
Yep.
Because of some changes the Labor government have made, it meant that we actually did collect about $10 billion of tax. Sounds good, right?
Yeah.
But guess how much Qatar made on the exact same volume of gas?
So we made 10 billion. They made double 20 billion.
More.
40 billion.
More.
50 billion.
More.
60 billion.
$56 billion on the same amount of gas that we made less than $10 billion for.
Say that one more time.
So they are getting $40 billion more a year on the same gas.
What could we do with $40 billion?
And guess what? It's the same gas. Same people buying it, same people selling it. It just means the companies in Australia are making a shite load more, these foreign companies.
I just don't understand this. Like,
So Mel,
why?
I did a bit of research as to what we could do with $40 billion in Australia.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear?
Go for it.
So we could end the housing crisis. We could build 160,000 social homes a year. That's about how many people are on the wait list right now for social and affordable housing. We could do that every year. We could build 160,000 homes every year. We could make childcare free. The childcare subsidy is currently about $12 billion, so we could do that 3 times over. We could wipe student debt. So Australia has $74 billion in student debt. So 2 years of that tax, we could have that cleared. No one would have a student debt anymore. We could fund the ABC for 40 years. We could have 40 ABCs running every year. We could fund Medicare twice. And we could triple our foreign aid. These are just a few of the things that we could do with $40 billion extra a year. The other thing we could do is we could basically pay for every solar panel, every wind farm, every battery. We could transition our whole country and still have spare change left over.
Yeah.
Like we could be off our addiction to foreign oil like that. It actually makes me want to slam my head against the table.
What I just don't understand is why aren't they doing this? Like, That's so much money to just not claim.
All I can put it down to is the fact that coal, gas and oil companies in Australia have a tight grip around our politicians' necks, and they're calling the shots because they donate to political parties and they're just too enmeshed. And a lot of people leave politics and go get a job working for a giant, oil or gas company. Like it's literally just a rotating door. So the system's broken, and I think this is why we're seeing a lot of outrage, but a lot of people, going to like One Nation or going, moving away from the major parties.
But One Nation doesn't have great ideas around the gas tax either.
One Nation have come out with a form of a policy, but I think you've got to be a little bit worried when you're launching it at a gas conference in front of the gas industry. That's just a little bit of a red flag that it's maybe not the best policy for Australians.
So. Honestly, like I understand the outrage of why people are like, seems so unfair.
Yeah.
And just like so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like imagine if we could have free childcare, we could have all these affordable homes.
We should be the richest citizens in the world, basically, like they are in Qatar.
And then on top of that, we live in one of the most sunniest and windiest places on earth.
I know. I know. In a cost of living crisis, it's particularly galling, isn't it? When you're like, we don't have to suffer like this. The other thing that just makes me so outraged about, and I know we were saying we shouldn't be so outraged, but that's about a different topic. We should be outraged about this, I think, because the other thing is, did you know that we actually have to buy our own gas back at international prices?
Don't. I can't. I literally can't.
So when there's a war going on like now and the price of gas goes through the roof, we feel it straight away and we are poor because of it. And where we could be making record profit, where it's actually costing us money to buy our own gas back at extortionate prices.
So what can we do about this? Like what can me, the individual, like the people who are commenting on our posts, like what can we actually do about it?
We spoke last week, Molly, about like contacting your local MP, contacting, the senators in your state. I actually did do that last week. I wrote a letter to my local member and to my senator. I haven't heard back from either of them, but I did it and it felt good at least doing it. But we've got to keep the pressure on, and you've got to vote for people that are going to actually make this issue better. Literally everything the government posts right now, and particularly anything to do with the budget and trying to explain it, people are just like tax gas. I've never seen people so united on a political issue as this in Australia. Let's tax the gas.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the concept of sharenting before? It's parents sharing on the internet, sharing photos and videos of their kids. So there's a term called sharenting.
Okay.
And so we want to talk a bit today about like to share or not to share, because this is like a conversation we've been having about our kids. Early on when my firstborn was little, I was sharing left, right and centre on Instagram, mainly on stories, so nothing that was lasting more than 24 hours. But the more I look into this, the more concerned I get. And so I've personally made the decision just to not share anything anymore of my children online.
I've been sharing some pictures of my baby because she's so little, and I'm like, she was going to look quite different when she's a toddler, and that's when I'll stop sharing. But now I'm even like, oh, am I sharing too much? And also, what will she feel about that when she's an adult or like a teenager? Maybe she wouldn't want those personal images shared online. So I'm taking a step back now from sharing her face on socials. Some shocking cases have just come up recently in the media though, where schools are sharing pictures of their kids, the pupils online, and then very horrendous sexual deep fakes are being made of these kids, and they're then blackmailing the school.
Yeah. Well, this is the big thing now, right? Like I think this is a very different conversation to 10, 15 years ago. With the advent of AI, the risks now of what can happen to those images of your children. And if you are one of the, part of the smaller percentage of people that are sharing images of your kids online, like the chance they're going to be falling into the wrong hands and being used, being sexualized with AI and being used for pornography, like there's a risk. Yeah. And is it worth taking the risk, I think, is what you now have to ask.
I think, yes, the question is like, what is the safe platform to then share if you're wanting to send photos of your kids on socials or on WhatsApp, or like, is it even safe?
Well, it's interesting because the thing that first really alarmed me was I was speaking to two friends that work in tech. One's at Google and another one was working for an AI startup. And they were both like, oh, knowing what I know, absolutely not sharing any of images of my kids anymore online. And I was like, really? And this one particular friend, she also said, and I'm even hesitant with using WhatsApp because it's owned by Meta. You know, these images are still being like
Stored
scanned,
somewhere.
sent, and that really was a bit of a wake-up call to me.
I think as well, like whenever someone has a baby, they're always like, she was born on this date at this time in this location. Like,
Yeah, and
that
they're
is
saying that's actually an
data.
identity theft issue.
Yeah.
So it might not affect your baby now.
Yeah.
But this could affect them 10, 15 years in the future when someone knows their full name, their parents' full name, their date of birth, like their location of their birth.
Yeah.
You're actually just giving a lot of information away. The other thing that freaked me out, Molly, I didn't realize. So I was listening to this parenting educator do an interview about safety online, and she said most photos actually have geo information in the actual picture. So when you share them, you're actually sharing you could potentially be sharing a lot of information about where that was taken, where you live, where your kids go to school.
Yeah.
So I thought this woman, Michelle Mitchell, she's a parenting educator, she had some really interesting points. She said the average 13-year-old has 1,000 images of themselves online by the time they're 13. And she's like, before you post, this is the things you should be thinking. Is this safe? Is this showing too much about where my kid is located and their daily routines? You know, because they said actually pedophiles and people that have bad intentions, they are more likely to, you know, it often starts with a child that has like digital images that are shared. Like, you know, you just have more access. You know who this kid is, right? Rather than them not being online. So, and often the geo-tracking on pictures makes it quite dangerous because you're literally saying this is where my kid's playing soccer, this is where we go to school, this is where they're doing their swimming lessons. The second question you should ask is, will they be okay with this in 10 years' time?
Yeah.
When they're a teenager. And the third question, I thought this was really good, is just why? Do I really need to share this?
Yeah.
And she said less is more. And she just said also, you know, I think as well, because there's this whole world, isn't there, of creators and lifestyle influencers where your kids are a huge part of your life. And if you are a lifestyle influencer and you've created your life around that, it's actually almost quite hard to make content without your kids in it. But she did say, like, your kids are not your PR strategy. And I do think that was a real moment for me. I saw another video where it was like a cartoon of a mum like posting a photo of her kid crying and she was getting all these likes and responses. And I had a moment of deep reflection where I was like, if I need likes and comments from strangers on the internet and I can only do it by sharing, you know, images and videos of my kid, like I'm actually not okay with that. I need to be more creative, more interesting, coming up with content of my own because this isn't actually fair, because a child, even if they're 7 or 8 and they're saying it's fine, they can't consent. Children cannot consent because they don't know what they're consenting to.
What about kids when they're used in like advertising for like big brands?
Well, you know, where do you start? Where do you stop? This is the question. You know, like I know in France, I'm pretty sure a couple of years ago they banned kids being used in advertising.
Okay.
So you actually can't be. I do still think that's maybe a little bit different to like having images, you know, of their life and their location.
Yeah.
But someone made a good point. I can't remember where I heard it, but they were just saying, you know, if you're putting up a photo of your child in their bath or in their bedroom, you know, which a lot of parents do and a lot of influencers do. And I'm not saying this to judge it. I'm just like, I've been thinking deeply about this. But like, would you be okay with like having 20,000 people in your child's bedroom? 20,000 random strangers in your kid's bedroom? Like, because that's what you're doing, you know, or maybe 100,000 if you're really big, or 1 million. I also read an article in the Washington Times, and it was talking about mums that like manage their kids' accounts, like maybe their daughters that are dancers or you know, acrobatics, and like maybe they want a career in cheerleading down the track. But they said the bigger the account gets, the more just old men they have following the account.
Creepy.
So, and the headline was literally mums managing old men stalking.
Oh.
And so, look, this opens up many, many minefields.
Yeah.
But ultimately, this parenting educator, she just said, like, you got to really think about the risks.
Yeah.
Ask why. Like, do I really, really need to do this? And I suppose for me, that's where I got to, is I just thought, I actually don't need to do this. So where I draw the line now is maybe if it's hands doing an activity and you can hear their little voice. And even that, I'm still sitting with like, am I okay with that? But that's where I'm at the moment.
Yeah.
No faces, no locations. The other thing they said is like, make sure you don't show schools or like their sporting clubs or anything that's identifying like that. You're literally just there are going to be bad people out there.
Yeah.
There are pedophiles in the world, as much as we hate to admit it.
That's maybe
that are going
really
to target that.
think about this, and that I don't want to be sharing any face images of my little girl, because I think the main thing is she deserves a choice in that.
Yeah.
And if she gets to, 10 and she doesn't want that, then once it's online forever. Like, you can go back and delete it, but there's an imprint of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Imagine your kid getting to high school and there's just like their entire childhood is online for kids to, find, download, share, make AI, who knows what they'll be able to make with it by then.
That reminds me, I probably need to delete quite a few of my own images from Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah.
When we used to share albums instead of like one picture.
Totally.
Wow. Well,
anyway, it's a minefield, but that's how I've arrived at not sharing anymore.
It's a very important conversation to have. So, B, I shared this clip with you yesterday just to get your opinion on it. And
all I can say is what?
This is what my initial reaction was.
It's disgusting.
And so it's like a new viral trend, and it's people, getting a barbecued chicken from Coles or Woolies, like cutting it up, making into a salad, putting it back in the bag with all the juices, mixing it up, and then eating it and being like, what a hack.
I don't know why I find this so disgusting, but it makes me want to gag.
I know, but it makes me want to gag. And I want to know, does it make you want to gag too? Or is
or
it just
you're like,
us?
Great hack. I love the comments on this video. Someone was just like, this is why I have a bowl. Like, just put it in a bowl, chop it up, put it in a bowl.
And B, I think maybe a reason why I find this so grotesque is you told me a story once about a taxi you hopped into.
Oh my God. So as a rule, I don't get taxis because I always have a terrible experience in them and they stink. The cab driver's awful. And it's always the time that I leave my phone in the cab and I'm like, got no way of finding you ever. Goodbye phone. I had to get one because my phone had died. Got in this taxi. I'm like, fine, I'll take a taxi. It won't be that bad.
Oh, yeah.
I get in the front seat. The guy's really creepy. But I realise he has an entire barbecue chicken, rotisserie chicken, sitting on his lap, and he's eating it with his bare hands, and he's just like driving with one hand on the wheel, eating the chicken, and then starts to hit on me.
It's actually illegal to eat and drive at the same time.
Yeah, I know. Should have told him.
That is just the grossest thing ever.
And don't ever try and pick someone up while you're like shoving greasy chicken in your mouth.
We don't want to make people gag on this podcast, but I think it's going to happen. That is disgusting. Bachelor's handbag.
That is the best expression. I only learnt that last year.
Yeah.
So that a rotisserie
to be fair,
chicken,
I think it only came out last year.
Yeah, is like a bachelor's handbag because like single blokes walk back from the shopping centre with a baked chicken.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Anyway, tell us what you think.
I just feel like this is an unnecessary hack that doesn't need to exist. Like, just chop up your salad. Just wash up one more bowl. Like, I hate washing up.
Yeah.
But I'll just wash up one more bowl before I like spin my salad up in my soggy, fatty chicken juice.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That doesn't need to exist. Do you know what does need to exist, by the way? Beauticians, which have a little creche area.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Are you just getting to the point in your parenting journey where you're like, wow, nothing is designed with parents in mind?
Literally nothing is. Like, if you want to get your nails done, your eyebrows done, anything, your hair done, like, there is like no way you can store a kid.
No, store a kid. I know, for long enough. I know.
And I don't want to take them into all those fumes.
I was meant to have an eyebrow appointment this morning and my childcare fell through because my husband had to get on a flight really early. And I was like, I literally can't go. Like, I can't take my two kids and like,
oh my God,
they would just be, can you imagine my
do their own
two
eyebrows.
boys? Oh, they'd be ripping things over. Like, it would be chaos. And I was like, I just actually can't go. So I had to cancel it. But anyway, yes, more things for mums and parents. Yeah. So, Mol, what's got to go?
Oh, my God. I'm having like an ongoing, mainly love-hate, but mainly hate relationship with my pram at the moment. It is so bloody hard to put up and put down. And like in the video, I keep watching the video. I've like watched the video like every day because I get it out and I'm like, how do they make it look so simple? It's just, I can't do it.
I just think if we can put a man on the moon, why can't we make a pram that is easier to pack open and down?
And then I put it on the plane and then this really important clip broke that I really need to work on my pram. So now every time I do it, and like me and my partner just was like such first time parents, anytime we go anywhere, like the very first time we ever took the pram out, we didn't know how to put it up. So we're there in the car park on YouTube being like, well, this was easy in the shop and now
I had this exact same experience when I got a double pram because this is so it's like a puzzle to put away.
You need to be an
You
engineer.
have to, and you literally have to be pressing 3 buttons at once, and you got to press it in this specific way.
Okay.
And I was by myself. It was the first time my husband wasn't there with me, and I was just having an absolute meltdown. And I had literally, it was so kind. I had so many different parents stop and try and help me, and then they all gave up. We were Googling it. I ended up getting so exasperated that I like put all the seats down in the car and like shoved it in and just like sat on the side of the road and cried basically.
I got my foot involved last time. I had my finger here, my foot on this one. And then you go 1, 2, 3, and then it all collapses. And I was like, it shouldn't be that hard to. And then sometimes
it shouldn't be like a puzzle
I'm
to
wearing
solve.
a skirt, so then I'm like exposing half my self as I'm trying to put.
And by that point, you don't even care. You're like, whatever, cop a view.
Honestly, got sweat dripping down me. I'm just like, I hate this pram. Anyway, so that's what I think it's got to go this week.
Yeah. It is the most frustrating. Those are the moments that just drive you insane as a new parent.
Oh my gosh, especially when it's really hot and you're just like, it only happened to me yesterday again. I was like, I never swear. I was like, F this effing pram.
Everyone's been there. Literally every parent.
Why won't it work? Why won't it go down? The mum's going, let me help you. And I'm like, I don't know how to explain how to do it. I'm sorry, I can't. I don't know. I have to do it. There was a viral video a few years ago and it's from this woman on the plane and she's looking out into the tarmac. There's 3 men trying to put this pram down and the caption was, send a mum out there. And they were literally there for 10 minutes trying to work out how to put, and another guy would come over and they just had no idea how to put this pram
I have to see
up.
that video. That's so good. While we're talking about all things, prams and car parks and whatever, my gotta go is small car parks.
Oh.
Is it just me or do we just make car parks tiny these days? And once again, no one's thinking of the mums because it's hard enough to get out of your own door. But when you've got to open the door and there's a child seat there and then you've got to like pull the small human out who's flailing about, like it's actually impossible without dinting the car beside you.
I actually did half research on this and they're saying cars are getting bigger these days.
Oh,
but the
that what's
spaces
happening?
Aren't. So
I still feel like they're trying to cram in as many car parks as they can.
Oh, honestly. But I feel you as well. And like when you've got to get like a car seat in and out.
Also, just more pram parking. Like I just think everywhere you go, the beach, a park, there should be a pram park.
Yeah. Guys, we grow human just in our bodies. Just
Make
give
it
us
easier.
Easy park. Come on. It's like the least you can do.
Do you hit a point in time though as a new mum and you're like, did anyone ask the mums when they designed anything? I don't think so. No one asked the mums. Ask the mums, the world will change, everyone will be happier.
Except for the bathroom at Stocklands, they ask the mums. It's really good.
Well done, Stocklands.